Okay, 27th of July 2023, we're looking at ICT Silver Bullet setups in the London session. Okay, so the setup itself is very similar. Number one, you wait for 7 a.m. to start. Number two, you look at what direction the price is moving energetically. Okay, and when price, that means it moves quickly in one direction, and when it does that, it creates a fair value gap. Okay, you wait for the pullback to happen, you fib up that range, and then you trade either at a premium or a discount. Okay, you want it to go into a fair value gap, reject, and that's your setup. That's as far as the price action goes. Now the other side to it, this is, although it's not strictly necessary, but if you want confluence, it's good to put it in a bigger narrative. So for example, on this one, this is the dollar, okay, today. So the trade happened, the setup happened somewhere around here, and you see we did have some continuation. There was enough to get a decent little trade in, but you'll see now that price has turned around, so there's no continuation. Okay, so from the beginning, let's start from the beginning. So I'm looking at it on the M15, okay, and this is what I can see as the 7 o'clock hour opens. We had this clear directional move down, price has come back into this previous demand zone. So it's likely, like if we saw bearish price action, that we have a narrative that supports it. And just looking at the past couple of days, we have exactly the same thing on prior days. Moves down, pullbacks, etc. Okay, so if you want to trade this on a 1 minute, what you do, you wait for the time to open, okay? And that's represented by this box here. So this is the open of the kill zone, London, 7 to 8. We can already see a clear directional move down. So if you wanted, you could fib this up, and you can see even within this price action, that's an obvious fair value gap that will be at a premium now. So had price gone up there, it would have been an excellent setup. It didn't happen. Price continues down. Now what do you do? As soon as this green candle closes up, this becomes your range. Okay, that's your fair value gap there above the 50. We don't get it. Price goes down. This is the third time now, okay? And we get this retracement. As soon as we see this green candle, or two green candles, it's up to you, that's when you can fib it up. So we fib up this most immediate range. And all we're looking for is a move above the halfway mark, okay, into a fair value gap. The fair value gap here isn't great. Technically there is a slight one here from this wick to the top of this candle here. You have a fair value gap into which price does come and immediately rejects, okay, followed by down candle, down candle. If you want to be extra safe, you wait for 2 consecutive down candles. So that puts you at the close of the 729. So from 730 we are looking to be short the dollar. That means we're trying to long any of the dollar crosses. Okay, so this is the Aussie dollar, and we said from 730. Okay, so this is on a 5 minute. Where's the draw on liquidity? It's obviously here, so that would be our target. It doesn't actually hit the target in retrospect. Okay, it doesn't make it a bad trade. Could have been a break-even trade, or you could have probably a break-even trade, to be honest, or you could have got out when you see this 1 minute structure shift. Anyhow, the entry, let's see if we have the same entry on the 1 minute. Before I do that, if you're gonna trade this, like, it's up to you, because you can get really good runners sometimes, but more often than not you're only really looking for a 1-to-1 on this, and our target is here. Okay, the low-hanging fruit is here. So let's say we enter from here, we've got 15 pips. Okay, so it's not an amazing trade, but you know, depending on what the other pairs are doing, which we'll look at in a minute, this could be a good trade. So we have the clear directional move up. What's interesting here is that you could have got the trade from here. Why? Because we've got the clear directional move up. Okay, you'd fib this up. It does hit the 50. It's not very clear on this screen, but it does come into technically it does come into a discount. This is your fair value gap. Below this wick, you've got this fair value, comes and touches it, and it goes away from there. So that would have been the better trade. Why did you not take this trade? Because the thing is, in real time, you can't look at all of the pairs. Or I can't, maybe you can, to trade it. Okay, so if you just look at the indexes to give you the stronger setup, then you can go and look at the individual pairs. So if you wanted to trade this from 730, that would put you, 730 puts you here. Okay, so it's still quite a good setup because your range now is from this wick to this. Okay, so 730 happens, actually that's 730. Okay, sorry for that. So you said at this is the 730 candle here. Okay, so this is your immediate range, this wick to this wick. So price comes down into a discount. We don't have a clear fair value gap, but we don't need one on this because we've already seen it on the dollar index. Okay, soon as this candle closes 736, you can enter from here with your stop below there or your stop below there. So let's call it 6 pips. We end up getting 10, which is not bad. It's above 1 to 1. So that's Aussie dollar. Moving on, so let's look at pound. So this was pound. Okay, so we said 730, go for the buy. So that's at the close of here. All right, and you can see it does. I mean, there's 30 pips in it. Why was this not a good trade? Because where's the draw on liquidity? It's only here. It's 10 pips. So it's not, and you don't know. I mean, in retrospect, it was a good trade, but at the time, it's possible that it just comes up to here, takes liquidity, and reverses from here. So this wouldn't have been a good setup. With the euro, let's have a look. So 730. Yeah, same thing. By 730, it's already breaking the high. Okay, but you could take this. So this is a good example. So on the one hand, we've got the silver bullet set up on the dollar, right? And here, what's happening on an M5 is simply an Asian range break high. So it's actually adding confluence. You're taking an Asian range break trade for two reasons. One, because you've actually had the break of range on here. But also, you've got the dollar index giving you a silver bullet setup. So that's not a bad trade. The only thing about this one is that you want it's going to be where you're going to put your stop loss. If you put your stop loss below there, it's still okay, it's 20 pips. And you end up getting, well, you actually get more than 20 pips. So it does go more than 1 to 1. Okay, so you enter the breakout trade. Let's say that closes there. We just enter at the close of this, okay. Stop loss, call it 25. It goes nearly 30, so there's a 1 to 1 in there. Okay, I'm not going to go into detail on the rest of the pairs, but just to eyeball it. So 7, you can take the same trade here, Asian range break from here. 15 gives you 25, so there's definitely a 1 to 1 in there. Dollar CAD similarly. It does take liquidity and turn around. So this is a good example of once you get the signal on the dollar, you can't just go and trade any pair. You have to compare the different setups and find the one which is most favorable. So price is here at 730. Liquidity is less than 10 pips away. I wouldn't take that. And it does exactly that's precisely why you look for where the next drawn liquidity is, because even though the direction is right, all that happens is it takes liquidity and it reverses against you. This New Zealand is an example of the fact that although you're using the index as your primary indicator, it doesn't mean it's going to work on all pairs. So for example, this one, we should have been going long on the New Zealand at 730. We're here. Liquidity's up there, 20 pips. It looks okay. It doesn't even go halfway up there. It doesn't even take out this internal liquidity, and it turns around.